Can't figure out what box to put me in. I'm always in transition. It's about remaining relevant.
What do we do about this digital divide?
But I don't want to just be inspirational and not transformational.
His ministry has poured millions into poor Dallas neighborhoods.
Tyler Perry is getting a new neighbor on the Fort McPherson property in Atlanta.
You cannot be what you do not see.
A new curriculum is being tied to an upcoming performance of Hamilton.
Everything that I'm doing now is about training the next generation. When you know better, you do better. I think my destiny is to help you reach yours. Come on and put those hands together for just a moment and help me praise God for his goodness. If he's ever been good to you, give him some praise right where you are. If he brought you from a mighty long way, give him some praise from where you are. If you haven't always been sister so-and-so and evangelist such and much and deacon got it going on, give him a praise for his mercy, for his tender kindness, for his patience, for his endurance, for his long suffering. My grandmother would say, when I think of the goodness of Jesus, and ain't nobody got to preach to me, but when I just think of his goodness and all that he's done for me, my soul cries out. Even when my lips don't move, my soul cries out. Even when I'm on my job, my soul cries out. I might be on an airplane, but my soul is crying out. Thank you, Lord. I used to think that when God saved you, he saved you one time and that was it. But I can count so many times that God saved me and saved me and saved me again. And for all of you who are questioning my theology, it is quite clear the Bible said, my little children in whom I travail in birth again until Christ be formed in you. It is not a one-time experience. Every so often God recreates, regenerates, revives, revitalizes, restores, imparts life to little dead places in your life. If there's somebody in here who can testify to that, just make some sort of... Yes, yes, you may be seated. I'm so glad to be here tonight. I was listening at the amazing, yeah. I love our folks. I can't imagine what it would be like to have the gift that God has given Tamala Mann. And I was sitting there thinking, I said, Lord, I'm just thankful I don't have to sing behind her tonight. Just anything else. I'll tap dance, I'll shine shoes, but I would not want to sing behind that amazing instrument that God has given us. We need to celebrate the gifts that God has placed amongst us. Glory to God. Every now I just put her on and act like it's me. Then reality sets in. Pastor John and Bishop Alfred and the lovely women who adorn you, we have been doing this for a long time. That alone speaks to the mercies and grace of God. For over 3 decades now, we have gathered together every year at the same time for over 3 decades. And whether it was virtual or physical, I've never missed a one. I'm thankful tonight that the circle has not been broken. I'm thankful tonight that we have not gathered to mourn the loss, but that we have endured. There's something about endurance that is quite meaningful. To all of the clergy, I have a big long list, but it kept getting longer and longer and longer. Now it's about 100 folks on the list. If I name all the folks on the list, I won't get to preach tonight. But I want all the clergy to stand both on the floor and in the pulpit and let me recognize and sincerely salute you. Sincerely salute you. Sincerely salute. Come on, church. I need your help behind me. Come on, I need your help behind me. Come on, church, I need your help behind me. And I must say that it is rather cruel to have to come behind Pastor Hopkins and Pastor Darius Daniels. They're about 40 years younger than me. It seemed like it's kind of, would you invite somebody about 90 next time? Got me taking Geritol and vitamin D and E and in my room doing stretches and curls and back bends, and I even tried a Pilates. It came out a Pilat. But I thank God for these young men that God's raising up and using in such a phenomenal way. I've got a couple of little quick announcements, and I won't be before you long, but I do want to say, I think that the guard is changing. Whether you realize it or not, it is the changing of the guard. I've been to Buckingham Palace, and they changed with such finesse. You never see a guard fighting the change. I ain't leaving. I'm gonna stay right here. I've been here for 22 years. He knows when the shift is coming, and he has prepared himself in such a way. Having done what he was supposed to do, he relinquishes position with grace and class. And the shift is taking place at a very volatile time. No one wants to make a shift in the middle of a volatile time. It is difficult for the generation leaving and the one coming, because some of the things we are experiencing now, being a general doesn't help you, because we're dealing with times we have never seen before. God has allowed us to be disrupted. And he told me, he said, when you pray for growth, I answer with disruption. Because it is impossible to have growth without disruption. Yeah. If you have a 5-year-old and you put them in clothes, don't expect them tennis shoes to work for 6. Because if they grow, it's going to be disruption. If you plant a seed in the ground, don't expect the soil not to be moved, because if it grows, there's going to be disruption. And so the Lord said, when we ask for growth, he answers with disruption. But be careful that you do not allow the disruption to become a distraction. Because it is not our job to control the disruption, but to endure it without distraction, knowing that all things will work together for our good. There is always, get this, there is always a gift in every disruption. I don't know who I said that for, but somebody in this room look for the gift rather than groan about the disruption. Because somewhere in the disruption, the Holy Spirit told me God releases a gift. Look at somebody and say, I got a gift in this. So I want to mention that I didn't mean to get off on all of that, but my leadership conference is taking on a new swing because I am trying to equip people for the times that we're living in and what it's going to take, the ambidextrous nature of leadership. It used to be you could be one-dimensional. You could just be a specialist. But now you have to be multidimensional in order to be effective. And the culture of our lives has not lended itself to duplicity. We tend to be specialists. But if you're going to be effective, you have to be multidimensional in your thinking, in your language, watch this, and in your relationships. If you only run with people who do what you do, they will always compete with you. But if you connect with people that are different than you, they will complete you. They will complement you. They will lift you. They will elevate you. They will encourage you. Anyway, May 4th through the 6th, we're gathering in Orlando. I picked it because it was warm. No spiritual reason, no word from the Lord, no angel showed up in my room. It's got sunshine and water. I said, let's go. The dates are May the 4th through the 6th, and incidentally, what is not being announced, there's a cue card on there. You can pull it down from your phone and get access to the information. Before it, I'm going to be working with entrepreneurs. How many entrepreneurs do we have in this room? The Lord has put me in a position to be able to access some things that will help your business to grow. And so if you're interested in scaling up, if you're tired of working yourself to death, doing 10 jobs, if you're so busy doing the work that you can't think the business, meet me in Orlando. Because in order to scale up, we need access to capital. We need marketing. Come on, we need distribution. And you got a vision that's bigger than what your two hands can do. I want you to meet at this called Good Soil. It's going to be the day before the conference, one day only. And I want you to take advantage of that opportunity to align yourself with it if you're an entrepreneur. I know the church doesn't talk about stuff like that, but I got tired of people coming up in prayer lines believing God for a miracle of getting a car. When did getting a car become a miracle? When did buying a house require an act of God? It don't for the dope dealer, it don't for the doctor, it don't for the scientist. It's just for church folk that we have brought God down to things that we could reach up and get. My Bible talks about him parting the Red Sea. My Bible talks about him turning water into wine. My Bible talks about him raising Lazarus from the dead after he was stinking. And if we can stop believing God for stuff that we could get, then we could go back to believing God for blinded eyes opening and lame people walking and people being set free by the power of God. You don't need a miracle to get out of debt. Come to the conference. Come to the conference. Just come to the conference. The preachers, the ministers come to the conference. The entrepreneurs and corporate people come to the conference. I got something for everybody at the conference. Bishop Tudor Bismarck, Pastor Paul Adafarison from Lagos, Nigeria, Tamika Bass, information and security professionals, Nona Jones, director of North American Community for Meta, formerly called Facebook. She's also a preacher in her own rights. Latasha Gillespie, who we are in partnership with Amazon. Y'all know I'm on Amazon? They let me on Amazon. Free VTV. Amen. First preacher in the history of the company that you don't have to wait on TBN or BET or anybody. If you up at night and can't sleep, or if you up in the morning and you want to work out listening, you can just download Free V and get me all of my old stuff. The Jerry curl me. All of my different sizes. Thank you, Jesus. From movie to movie, to message, I can go up or down 2 or 3 suit sizes with a click of a button. My weight has not been consistent, but my message has. Come on, make some noise, somebody. Anyway, I wanted you to know it. I've got Dr. Anita Phillips, who's going to be there helping you get your head on straight and get your mind together. Latasha Gillespie from Amazon, Tristan Walker, and a host of others are going to be there. I'm doing a special session the day before for technology. We've got a Texpo with all of the latest technological information, because I'm going to close this digital divide if it's the last thing I do, and cause us to understand not just how to buy it, but how to own it. If we bought as much stock in Gucci as we bought bags in Gucci, I ain't gonna bother you, but come to the conference. I'm gonna bother you there. After 43 books, I think I've finally written the best book of my life. And it's not out yet. You can pre-order it, but it's not out yet. It's called Disruptive Thinking. I didn't write it for all the people who are worried about getting on somebody's nerves. I wrote it for the people who want change bad enough to be disruptive, to be dyslaxed, to go through changes, but you refuse to be the same you in 2023 that you were in 2022. Look at your neighbor on the left and right. Say, I'm getting ready to disrupt some things. I'm getting ready to disrupt some things. You don't sound like you're going to disrupt nothing. Tell them I'm getting ready to disrupt some things. So if you can't handle disruption, don't sit by me. I might jump up without warning. I might move without asking you. I might step on your pocketbook. I might go back to school. I might start a new business. I might learn how to code. I might fool around and own the whole complex. I might fool around and open up a bed and breakfast or Airbnb. You can't tell. Don't put me in a box. Just because you met me as a nurse don't mean I'm going to stay a nurse. I'm getting ready to come out the bag on you. I want to talk to some people that's ready to come out the bag. Glory. Shake somebody and say, I'm going to disrupt some things. If you're going to hang with me, you got to be able to handle the new me. There are going to be different flavors of me. I'm going to be a Baskin-Robbins Christian. Hallelujah. Don't lock me down to strawberry. I will switch up on you and recreate myself and come out again, because there's more in me than what you see. Who am I talking to? Anyway, I can't give you the book. It's coming. Disruptive Thinking. Pre-order it, get in line for it. Thank you for having me once again. I'm delighted to be here. It's fun to be here. This is one of the few places I go every year. Beverly said, are you going? I said, uh-huh. If I have to ride a camel. Thank you, Jesus. I would preach for the food y'all gonna feed me tonight. Go to the book of Ezekiel. Let me stop fooling around and get down to business. Ezekiel 37. Thank you to all of my sons and all of my daughters that have come out to be with me tonight. I am so grateful for all of my spiritual sons and daughters that are here tonight in the crowd, in the room, and all the ones I have that I don't know that I have. Yeah, and I don't even know your name, but you've been following me for a long time. And I know you're out there because you're in the overflow. Pastor says all the overflows are filled up. Come on, let's clap for the people that's on the overflows. Every room in the house, everything they got, every chair that's open, somebody's sitting in it, getting this word. And for the people online, make some noise for the people that are virtually connected in different time zones. 3 o'clock in the morning, sitting up listening at this word, refusing to go to sleep because they value the word of God. Stand to your feet and hear what the Spirit of the Lord is saying to the church. Ezekiel chapter number 37. I will not exhaust the text, but I will explore it. I will not fully exegete it, but I will use it as a canvas through which we can begin to understand the enormity of this moment. We will step on a very familiar text. If you've ever been in church or vacation Bible school or summer camp that a church had, you know this story. If you're old school, the old school preachers used to preach it. And the head bone connected to the neck bone. And the neck bone connected to the shoulder bone. And the shoulder bone connected to the backbone. Hear ye the words of the Lord. I ain't gonna do that tonight. That's how I style. I am going to consider what God has said to Ezekiel, the major prophet, whose words are so impactful that they are relevant for the times we are living in today. The hand of the Lord was upon me and carried me out in the Spirit of the Lord. Carried me out in the Spirit of the Lord. The hand was upon me and he carried me out. Not in a town, in a city, in the Spirit of the Lord, and set me down. Have you ever had God carry you out and then set you down? He set me down in the midst of the valley, which was full of bones, and caused me to pass by them round about. And behold, they were very many in the open valley. And lo, they were very dry. And he said unto me, Son of man, can these bones live? And I answered, O Lord God, thou knowest. Some of the things God is asking you, can it live again? You've lost all hope. Lord, thou knowest. And again he said unto me, prophesy upon these bones and say unto them, O ye dry bones, hear the word of the Lord. Thus saith the Lord God unto these bones, behold, I will cause breath to enter into you and bring you up flesh upon you and cover you with skin and put breath in you, and ye shall live, and ye shall know that I am the Lord. Watch this. So I prophesied, not according to how I felt. I prophesied as I was commanded. And as I prophesied, I didn't even finish. As I prophesied, there was a noise, and behold, a shaking, and the bones came together. Bone to his bone. Somebody say bone to his bone. Tonight, by the grace of God, I want to talk to you about divine alignment. Divine alignment. And I feel like there's going to be a shift in the room tonight. And we're going from soul ties to divine alignment. Let me pray before your shoes start hurting. Father, we are the people of your flock. We are the sheep of your pasture. We have come from every church. We have come from no church. We have come from a long ways, and we have come from across the street. We have come from different races and different cultures and different mindsets, but the very fact that we are here is indicative of the fact that we are casting 2023 under the banner of your grace. We seek a word from you. We seek a word for you. We seek a word for you, not just a word that will last in church, not just to make me shout or dance, but I need some guidelines that are going to shape the continuity of the next 365 days. God, if I don't hear from you, what shall I do? If I don't hear from you, I'm going to go through the same thing I used to. If I don't hear from you, there will be no change in my life. Speak, Lord. I move everything out of the way. Speak, Lord. I move every distraction. Speak, Lord. I command my mind to focus. Speak, Lord. For thy servant hears. In Jesus' name, somebody shout, amen. You may be seated in the presence of the Lord. Yes, sir. Yes, Lord. Yes, Lord. God is good. So I had a member in my church that was going to talk to the doctor about a knee replacement, and it's an orthopedic surgeon to evaluate knee surgery, because I've seen, not had, but seen knee surgery. I respect it. I call it Mr. Knee Surgery. Yeah, because it is a difficult surgery. Painful. It's one of the few surgeries that your knee has to keep moving while it's healing. Because if it stops moving, it will heal stiff. And you won't be able to ever bend it again, because the bones are in the joint. And the joint controls the movement. And I know you say you would never have somebody take your knee out. Picture that. And replace it with a plastic knee. But when the pain gets bad enough, relief necessitates that I endure the discomfort, if it might give me an opportunity at mobility without excruciation and pain. It is difficult. And so I went along to be more support. And after they got through doing x-rays, the doctor said, the pain is in the knee, but the problem is in the hip. And I said, how could that be? Her knee is where the pain is manifesting. But he says it's manifesting in the knee, but it's coming from a misalignment in the hip. And if I fix the hip, the knee will stop hurting. And it's interesting to me. I'm not a physician. I don't know anything about it. But I notice when I do have some discomfort, sometimes a pinched nerve or something, I go to the chiropractor and they do a little procedure called an alignment. Have you ever had an alignment? They're kind of scary. Yeah, afterwards it feels good, but when they do it, it makes a sound that makes me think, I'm gonna sue you. My head not supposed to make sounds back here. But they do it to bring you into alignment because discomfort occurs when we are misaligned. Not only in the body, on your job. Discomfort, the pain, lets you know that you are misaligned. After you've done everything you could do to get along with people, at a certain point you have to resolve the fact one of us is not supposed to be here. Because the leg bone is supposed to fit with the knee bone, and the knee bone is supposed to fit with the shin bone, and I'm twisting and turning, and all I'm getting is swelling. See, some people think swelling is growth. But there's a big difference between growth and swelling. Swelling comes to protect the bone from injury because something is out of alignment. And it doesn't have to be a big something. It is a small fox that destroys the vine. So tonight, as we talk about this text, there are certain things that I want to put in context. Can I take my time a little bit tonight? We are listening at Ezekiel, one of the major prophets. Doesn't mean that he's greater than the other prophets, but the magnitude of his work is comprehensive to the degree that the volume of the pages has put him in a unique category with Daniel and Isaiah and a few others as major prophets. Everything God says is major. But Ezekiel has ability to hear God with such depth that he has a lot to say, not just about where he is, but where he's going. His ministry occurs during Babylonian captivity. And you must understand that he himself is writing from a place of pain. And it is no wonder that sometimes in order to earn the right to be heard, you have to go through pain yourself. You can go through Harvard, but if you don't go through pain, you really can't minister effectively out of head knowledge. So when God is going to use you in a mighty way, you don't get to teach on captivity. You got to live through some captivity. Captivity is taking me against my will where I don't want to go and putting me in something that I don't want to stay in and I cannot get out of. That is captivity. Captivity creates a spirit. It is not just a physiological entrapment, it is an emotional entanglement. As long as you know you can leave this building, it's good. But if I told you all the doors were locked and all the windows were locked and we couldn't get out of here, the service would be disrupted. What makes us comfortable is that we know we can go when we get ready. We are not designed to be trapped. And when we feel trapped, we do things we normally would not do because of the feeling of captivity. It isn't the physicality of captivity. I can sit here fine as long as my head says you can go. But when my head says to me, I can't get out of this, all of a sudden it's not the discomfort of the chair, it's the discomfort of the truth that puts me in a painful situation. Why are you talking about that? Because I don't have to be an inmate to be held captive. I don't have to be a refugee down at the border to be held captive. You would be shocked at the people in this room who are in captivity. I know they don't look like it, they don't dress like it, they don't smell like it, they don't even smile like it, but behind the smile, they are in captivity on a job that they can't stand, in captivity in a relationship that they can't stand, in captivity without a relationship that they want to stand. There's all kinds of captivities, financial captivities, raising children who don't love you is a captivity, having parents who did not want you is a captivity, and sooner or later you find yourself captive, stuck in a church that will not grow, stuck in a business that will never be profitable, stuck with a ministry that's been scandalized and ostracized, stuck with somebody who doesn't appreciate you, stuck with somebody who doesn't value your contribution, stuck with somebody who never loves you and doesn't know how to love you, and yet you got to smile in front of everybody and act like everything's okay, but in truth you are in captive. You call her baby, but she's Babylon. You call him baby, but he's Babylon. Ezekiel writes from a place of captivity. That does not mean that he's not anointed, because in his captivity, he reports, the hand of the Lord was upon me. So this notion that if God's hand was on you, you wouldn't be captive is immediately eradicated in the first phraseology of the text, because we know that he is captive and we know that the hand of the Lord is upon him. See, I grew up thinking that if the hand of the Lord was on you, nothing could hold you. But according to the text that I'm reading here today, you can have the hand of the Lord upon you and still go home to captivity, and still work with captivity, and still have a sister who doesn't like you, and still have a ministry that's not growing, and still have a child that you can't help, and still have a heart that's broken, and still be lonely and cry yourself to sleep, because after all church folk really want is your gift. And as long as you give them your gift, they don't want to know how you are. They don't want to know what's up with you. They don't want to know what's going on. They want you to sing. Oh, somebody in this room knows what I'm talking about. To be in the paradoxical dilemma of the hand of the Lord being upon you on one hand, and yet you are captive on the other. How could I be anointed and still be trapped? Trapped with my emotions, trapped by my childhood, trapped by my indiscretions, trapped by rumors, trapped by failures, trapped by suicide, trapped by depression. I shouted all over the church, but when the music stopped, I went home and felt like blowing my brains out. How could I be anointed and still be a captive? I know he called me, but I'm caught. Take me to the King. I was so glad you sung it, because I have nothing else to bring. My heart is broken in pieces. Truth is, don't nobody want to hear it, but the truth of the matter is, I'm dancing tired, I'm cooking tired, I'm getting dressed tired, I'm going to work. His truth is, I'm tired. Anybody want to be real with me tonight? The hand of the Lord is upon Ezekiel and carries him in captivity. Carrying and captivity doesn't seem to go together, but God carries in captivity. I know it's true because I've seen him carry me in captivity. I've seen him carry me while I was tied up. I've seen him carry me while I was worried. I've seen him carry me while I was lonely. I've seen him carry me when I was a fool. I've seen him carry me when I was in despair. I've seen him carry me when the enemy tried to take me out. I've seen him carry me when all hell is breaking loose in my life. And yes, I made progress, but it was not by my might or my power, but by the Spirit of the Lord. I've seen him carry me while folk hated me. I've seen him carry me while I hated myself. I've seen him carry me when I had no faith at all. I've seen him carry me when I was worried out of my mind. I'm wondering if there's anybody in here. God carried through COVID. God carried through pneumonia. God carried through the flu. God carried you through a divorce. God carried you through adultery. God carried you through pain. And you made progress, but it wasn't you. It was God. Somebody in the room that's been carried, make some noise. Yeah. He carried me. You cursed me, but he carried me. You hated me, but he carried me. You prophesied against me, but he carried me. I didn't think I could take no more, but he carried me. I lost a loved one, thought I would lose my mind, but God carried me. I didn't think I could take that kind of pain and still breathe, but God carried me. So while you praising him about new shoes, I'm praising him that I'm not crazy. I'm praising him that I didn't have a nervous breakdown. I'm praising him that I didn't throw in the towel. I'm praising him that I didn't lose my mind. I'm praising him I didn't shoot somebody. I'm praising him that I didn't blow up the building. You ain't got to tell nobody your business, but tell somebody and tell them he carried me. Yeah, that's what I'm shouting about. That's what I'm crying about. That's what I'm hollering about. That's what I'm groaning about. That's what I'm moaning about. I can't tell you my business, but let me tell you, he carried me. Tell somebody else, say he carried me. I was about to throw in the towel, but he carried me. He carried me sober. He carried me drunk. He carried me when I was holy. He carried me when I was a wretch. He carried me when I was a fool. He carried me when I made crazy decisions. And if don't nobody else in the building praise him, I got to praise him. I may be captive, but I'm carried. I got to watch myself because I feel that anointing climbing up my spine right now. I can tell there's somebody in the room or online or in the overflow that God carried you through some stuff. If somebody would have told you you had to go through that, you would have said, I can't take it and I can't make it. But God carried you. Carried you through the pain of compound captivity. The pain manifested my marriage, but it was coming from my childhood. hear what I'm saying to you. The pain manifested in my friendship. I flipped out on you, but it really wasn't about you. It was about my brother. It was about my sister. It showed up over here, but it's really coming from a misalignment. Something is out of place. Say that with me. Something is out of place. If you're watching online, type it. Something is out of place. Have you ever had that feeling that something was out of place? You couldn't put your feeling, put your hand on what it was, but you knew in your spirit something is wrong with him. Something's wrong with her. Something is wrong in this house. Something is moved. Something is out of place. You remember when we were little kids, they'd draw pictures and they'd have living room furniture and a refrigerator in it, and you had to circle what was wrong with the picture. Sometimes something don't fit, but you don't know what it is, but you got a feeling that something is out of place. We have had several years of living with the feeling that something is out of place. And he made us sit in it. Ezekiel says he carried me out in the spirit, and then he made me sit. Have you ever had to sit in an ugly place? I would think that if God carried me, he would carry me to a beautiful place. But he carried Ezekiel to an ugly place. Biologists teach us that there are at least 207 bones in one person. And this was not a legion, this is an army. This is a stinky place. This is a place of decadence and destruction and turmoil. This is a place where he could not fail to admit that he identified with the victims. Human remains. I had to sit in what remained. What remained of a marriage. What remained of a life. What remained of my ministry. What remained of my gift. And you carried me out. I thought you carried me out of captivity. No, you made me sit in it. The truth of the matter is the reason so many people are frustrated at church, because we keep preaching about freedom. And God keeps carrying them to sit in captivity. And they can't figure out, I don't hear anything in the message that describes what I'm experiencing in my life, because you told me to turn around 3 times and shout, and God was going to bring me out. I turned around 3 times and I shouted till I broke my shoe, and I still had to go home and sit. I had to sit in it. Oh. How many folk know what it is to sit in it? Don't be ashamed, put your hand up. I had to sit in it. I prayed, I anointed myself with oil, but I had to sit in it. I made a little cross on my forehead, but I had to sit in it. I started reading Psalms 91 every morning, but I had to sit in it. I went on the Daniel fast, but I had to sit in it. I danced all over the church, but I had to sit in it. I skipped to the church. I went to the churches where they skip. I tried them too. But when I got through skipping, I had to sit in it. And it was not the devil. It was not a witch. It was not a hex. It was not a hater. It was not an enemy. The Lord made me sit in it. The Lord made me sit in it. If it was you, I'd have got you off of me. If it was you, I'd have knocked you out. If it was you, I would have rebuked you. If it was a witch, I would have bound her. If it was a warlock, I would have stopped him. If it was a demon, I would have cast him out. But the Lord made me sit in it. In a stinky place, in an ugly place, in a place of no transformation, in a place of hopelessness. What am I doing? God's man, God's hand, God carries, and he sets me in a stinking place. Look at somebody and say, why are you here? I don't mean in the building, I don't mean at the revival. Why are you here? The place that you don't talk about, the place that you don't bring up, because you don't trust nobody to tell them where you really at. So when they come up to you and you know they saints, you say, I'm blessed in the Lord, thank God in you. That's your defense mechanism. That's your superwoman outfit. Praise the Lord. I'm blessed, child. I'm blessed. And you get in the car and cry all the way home because we taught you what to say, but we didn't teach you how to be. And now you're in a situation with nobody. You got to pay somebody to listen at you. Out of all the people you know in the choir, in the deacon board, on the usher board, on the greeters committee, in your family, on your job, in your neighborhood, you got to pay them to shut up. And let me tell you what I'm sitting in. I'm sitting in death. I'm sitting in death. I'm sitting in decadence. I'm sitting in bones. I'm sitting in stench. How could I be so blessed over here and so cursed over here? Does anybody understand the words that's coming out of my mouth? You just opening up every kind of blessing in the world over here. And when I look on my left side, it's the best of times. But when I look on my right, it's the worst of times. How could you bless me and touch me and carry me and still make me sit in a stinky place, in a place of death and despair? Now, this place is an allegory. It is not a location. It's like Wakanda. All of my African friends, Nigerians, Ghanaians, Ugandans, all laugh because some of us really think we're looking at the map, we Googling, looking for Wakanda. This place is not literal. It's an allegory. It's a story. It's a prophecy. It's a vision. It's a vision of stench. The irony is what he envisions, he is also experiencing. There is a correlation between what you envision and what you experience. He's visioning death and he's experiencing death. He's envisioning captivity and he's experiencing captivity. You can't change what someone experiences until you change what they envision. I was reading a pamphlet the other day that tied eyesight to memory. The fact that we can see something helps the brain retain it. Yeah. No wonder the Bible said without a vision, the people perish, because I can only be what I see. And there he sits in the bones. Now, when I talk to the theologists, they suggest that it could be that the prophecy is relevant to the ultimate release of the captives who were held in Babylonian captivity. Others suggest that it refers to another captivity in Assyria. There is a final group that suggests that it is actually a picture of the Holocaust, that Israel would be dispersed around the world, refugees, and that eventually they would come together. I think it's 1942 to form a nation. And this was a prophecy experienced then for later. It's really not a camp song. It's really not so you can hoop. It's really not something to entertain the children. It is a picture of how everything can fall apart. You see, the oxymoron continues because the text says that they became a great army, but they are in a bad place. So I wonder in my mind, can I talk to you a minute? I wonder in my mind, how does a great army end up between mountains? It seems like to me if you were a great army, you would stay out of the valley. Because any mediocre understanding of military strategy would suggest that whoever ends up in the valley is at a place of disadvantage. And we know that they stood up, became a great army. They could only become what they were. But the great army has gotten in a bad place. Yeah. I want to talk to somebody tonight. I do not dispute your greatness. I do not dispute your anointing. I do not dispute your gift. I do not dispute the fact that the hand of the Lord is upon you. I do not dispute the fact that God called you to ministry. I do not even dispute that you are saved. I do not dispute the fact that you are filled with heaven's Holy Ghost. I do not dispute the fact that you speak in tongues as the Spirit of God gives us. I do not dispute the fact that you have a PhD. I do not dispute the fact that you have a demon. I do not dispute the fact that you speak Hebrew fluently. I do not dispute the fact that you can speak Greek in its original language. I do not dispute the fact that you are bilingual. I do not dispute the fact that you're a CEO. I do not dispute the fact that you make 6 figures. I do not dispute the fact that when you get your bonuses, you make 7 figures. I do not dispute the fact that you are a millionaire. My problem is nothing about your greatness preempts the possibility of your departure from the high place and sitting in a low place. And what makes it worse, when people perceive you as great, they never minister to you from where you really sit. You don't get no care because you're a caretaker. You don't get no love because you're a love giver. You don't get no compassion because you've already been typecast as the one that's the caring one. And nobody knows the fact that in spite of the fact that you're loving and caring and helping all kinds of people, that you are sitting in a low place. And you sat there in the dry place until it has become normalized. And the only way you could cope with it was decide you're built for it. So the moment you decide you're built for it, you don't try to escape it. Because maybe I'm supposed to be here. The real question in the text is, why did God carry us to the valley? What does he want us to see in the valley? Why did he bring us after the skin had deteriorated and the maggots had eaten up the flesh and all the sinews had dissipated. And he brings us in, not while the bones are wet, but while the bones are dry. Not while they're connected, but while they're scattered. And when it's scattered, he brings us to the place where nothing is connecting. Have you ever been in a place where nothing is connecting? It's all there, but it's not connecting. The potentials are all there, but it's not connecting. The possibilities are there, but it's not connecting. The promises are there, but it's not connecting. You keep being on the verge, but it's not connecting. You keep getting close, but it's not connecting. And God has brought you to a place so you can sit in stuff that's disconnected and discombobulated, and you're frustrated because it'd be one thing not to get it if you weren't around it, but to have to admit every day that I can see it, but I can't pull it together. And I can't pull it together to save my life creates the imposter syndrome, because I gotta act like I got it together. I gotta dress like I got it together. I gotta walk like I got it together. I gotta talk like I got it together. But when I lay down at night, when I lay down at night, there ain't nobody looking. I have to live with the fact that I'm sitting in things that are not coming together. And I'm getting older. I thought by now it would have come together. I thought by now it would be better. I thought by now I would be out of debt. I thought by now I would be happily married. I thought by now we would be like the Love Boat. I thought by now you would understand me. I thought by now I wouldn't have to explain myself. But I'm getting older, and the pace is picking up, and the time is running out, and the desperation is increasing, because if God don't do something soon, I'm running out of time, and I'm looking at a situation that's so scattered. I want to talk to somebody who's got all the pieces of greatness, but you can't seem to pull it together. I want to talk to somebody who's real close to it, but it seems like it's not coming together. Is there anybody in the building that came to church tonight that it seems like it's not coming together? Is there anybody in here that gets frustrated because every time you get close to it, you get near it, you can see all the pieces and you can see all the parts, but you can't pull it together? And you're tired of watching other folks pull it together, and you're saying, when is it going to be my time? When is it going to be my turn? When is God going to bless me to pull it together? I'm close to it. I got it. I see it. I count it. I understand it, but I can't connect it, and I'm running out of time. And when you start running out of time, you start running out of hope. Maybe he don't want it to come together. Maybe he don't mean for me to have it. Maybe I'm not supposed to be happy. Maybe I'm not supposed to be free. Maybe I'm not supposed to be whole. Maybe I'm not supposed to get a breakthrough. Maybe I'm not supposed to be changed. Maybe this is his punishment for what I did. Maybe this is his punishment for the mistakes I made. Maybe this is his punishment. Is there anybody in here that feels punished by what you're sitting in? And he sat in it. I'm still in the first verse. He sat in it. He sat in it. And he sat in it. And he sat in it alone. He sat in it alone. See, nowadays when couples are having babies, now it's popular to say, we're having a baby. Ain't that funny? No, we ain't having no baby, because we ain't got our legs in no stirrup, because we ain't pushing till the blood vessels break in our jaws. You having a baby. I'm eating ice cream, coaching you along, saying it's going to be all right. But I say we so you can feel fellowship. But when the pain hits, I can't feel it. Because when you're in trouble by yourself. Is there anybody in this room that feels in trouble by yourself? And he sat alone. And for the last 2.5 years, God has made us sit in it. I would have gone to Hawaii, but they were sitting in it. I thought I'd buy a ticket to Paris, but they were sitting in it. I said, maybe I'll go to Buckingham Palace, but they were sitting in it. I'll go to Anguilla, but Anguilla was sitting in it. I'll go to Miami, but they were sitting in it. I'll go to Vegas, but they're sitting in it. And I finally figured out there was no place to go. I just had to sit in it. I got a black card, but it wouldn't work. I had to sit in it. Yeah, I got a nice car, but I had to sit in it. I got a retirement. I could go in my retirement, but I couldn't buy my way. I had to sit in it. Every now and then, you have to sit in a place because this is for your education. This is for your education. That's why God asks questions, because he's teaching a class in the low place. I thought the best experiences with God was in the high place. But the best encounters I've ever had with God were in the low place. It's in the low place where God challenges your faith. It's in the low place where you can find out how much you really believe God. It's in the low place that you find out whether you really have a relationship with God or not. It's in the low place where he tests your character. It's in the low place that he pushes you to the brink. It's in the low place that you find out how strong you are. And if you hadn't have gone through the low place, you wouldn't have no praise. You know who's praising God right now? The people who have been in the low place, the people that's been in the valley, the people that have been to the valley of the shadow of death, the people that have endured hardness as a good soldier of Jesus Christ. No, not none of you cute folk, because you're worried about your eyelashes. But the people that's been to hell and back don't care if they sweat a little bit, because they've been in the low place. If you ever want to see a praise, let a praise break out from somebody that's been in a low place. They don't care if you talk about them. They don't care if you make fun of them. They don't care if you look at them funny, because I already been in hell. I already been in trouble. I already been backed in the corner. I already been shoved against the wall. You don't like me? I don't care. I cut my teeth in low places. Is there anybody in this room that knows how to praise God in a low place? I need about 30 seconds for you to go off on the devil. I might be in a low place, but I learned how to dance in a low place. I learned how to shout in a low place. I learned how to believe God in a low place. I learned how to preach in a low place. I learned how to pray in a low place. I learned how to holler in a low place. If there's anybody in here that's been to hell and back and you still gotta praise, I want you to shock hell. I want you to frustrate demons. I want you to rebuke cancer. I want you to show off on witches and let them know you still got your joy. Take about 22 seconds and give God some kind of praise. I don't care what it looks like. Give God a praise. You got 15 seconds to stop being cute. You got 12 seconds to get real. fall off. Praise him till your shackles come off. Praise him till you get a dance in your feet. Praise him till you break loose. Take me to church for a minute. Take me to Storefront Church. Take me to... Yeah! Yes! Just for a minute. Something's about to happen. Something's about to happen. Something's about to happen. Something's about to happen. Touch everybody you can reach and say something's about to happen. Something's about to happen. Something's about to happen. Something's about to happen. Something's about to shift. Something's about to change. In 2023, something's about to shift. Something's about to move. Something's about to slide over. Something's about to connect. Something about to come together. Something I couldn't pull by myself. Something I couldn't do by myself. Something I couldn't fix by myself. God said, I'm about to do something in your life that's going to blow your mind. I'm just about 2 minutes to 5 minutes from finish. What blew my mind is what the rabbi asked the student in the low place. He said, can these bones? I brought you down here for a test. Can these bones? What I got you sitting in is just figurative. It ain't even real. It's a test in a controlled environment. It's symbolic for what I want to teach you that becomes a substratum of how you trust me. And I couldn't teach you on the mountain. So I brought you to this dry, stinky place to give you a test. Can these bones live? And what blew my mind is that the prophet said, keep it 100, Jesus. I don't know. I don't know if it could get any better. I don't know if it's going to work. See, everybody wants to talk to the people that know. I'm called to talk to the people who don't know. I don't know. I don't know how I'm going to pay it off. I don't know. I don't know if I got what it takes to raise this child. I don't know. I don't know if I got what it takes to be a good husband. I don't know. I don't know how to be a father. I didn't have one. I don't know. Can these bones live again? He said, Lord, thou knowest. And God said to him, in the midst of his uncertainty, I want to talk to some people that have been uncertain. You're trying to make plans for 2023, but there's so many things you can't control that you're uncertain. You don't know whether to plan the wedding or not plan the wedding. You don't know whether to do the conference or not do the conference. You don't know whether to build the building or not build the building. You don't know whether to increase staff or lay off staff. You don't know whether to buy a house or keep on renting. And you wouldn't dare tell the church folk you don't know. But late at night at 1 o'clock in the morning, you whisper to God, I don't know. I don't know, and you got me sitting in this place, and I don't know if it's going to get any better. I don't know if I'm ever going to be happy. I don't know if it's going to change. I don't know if the church is going to grow. Now, I don't know. I don't know who to make a successor. I don't know who to put in charge. I don't know. I don't know who to hire. I don't know who to trust. I don't know who to talk to. I don't know. I don't know, God. I don't know. I know I'm the prophet. I'm a major prophet. I'm a major prophet. And I still don't know. And then God says, in the middle of his uncertainty, you don't have to be certain to get out. You don't have to be certain. This is not going to come through your feelings. Your feelings will fool you. You're working on your knee, but I know what's wrong with you is in your hip. And so I don't need your knee to come into alignment, because the pain that you're feeling right here is coming from somewhere else. And God says to him, I don't need you to be sure for me to bless you. Oh God, I feel like I'm talking to somebody. I don't need your feelings to align with my purpose. Your feelings are deceptive. It'll make you treat the wrong thing. It's not coming from where you're hurting. Oh, who am I talking to? The real problem is somewhere else. And he says, I don't need you to feel like it's going to be okay. I got to feel. He said, I don't need you to have a feeling that everything's going to be okay. I don't move by your feelings. Your feelings change every day. I'd be schizophrenic following your feelings. You can't trust your feelings. So God says to him, prophesy to the bones that they may live. Speak to the bones that they may live. Because I don't need, watch this, I don't need your certainty. I need your obedience. When you don't know what to do, just obey me. I don't care where you're feeling the pain. Trust me. I know how to treat this. This is not about your feelings. This is not a test of your feelings. Wait a minute. And this is not a test of your faith. This is not a test of your feelings, and this is not a test of your faith. The Lord sent me, the Lord sent me here tonight to tell you this is one of the few places I go. And the Lord sent me here on a mission to tell you he don't need your feelings. Stop telling him how you feel. He does not need your feelings to do what he's going to do in your life. He will not come in alignment with your feelings because your feelings are wrong. And if God came in alignment with your feelings, he would take your knee out, and it ain't your knee. I don't need your faith. I don't need you to be sure. I don't need you to be confident. I need you to be obedient. If you're going to get this breakthrough, oh my God, I feel like preaching. I'm so glad I got another shot in the morning, because those of you that's going to be here in the morning, I'm going to unload on you. I'm going to unload on you. I don't need your feelings. I don't need your prayer warriors. I don't need your prayer partners. What I need from you is your obedience to do it scared, do it nervous, do it uncertain, do it unsure of yourself, do it not knowing how it's going to turn out. And the Bible said, my God, the Bible said, so I prophesied. I didn't have no feelings. So I prophesied. I didn't have no witness. So I prophesied as I was commanded. And the Lord told me to tell you, if you get out of your feelings and just obey what he told you to do, the reward for obedience is a suddenly. God said, if you obey him, it will not be a process. It will not be a long time. God said, if you just do what he told you to do without regarding how you feel about what he told you to do, God said, I will give you a suddenly. And the Bible said that when Ezekiel did what he said do, suddenly there was a shaking and a noise. Watch this, watch this. Let me give you this one little thing. I'll stop here. And the bones found each other. God said your bones are going to find each other. There's going to be a law of attraction between what's needed and what fits. And God said all he needs you to do is obey. You don't have to draw a map or hire an architect or move a bone. God said, I'm going to shake it together. I'm going to bring it into alignment. I'm going to bring it into connectivity. I'm going to snap it into place. And things you couldn't get together on your own, God said, I'm going to do it. Wait! It's going to be so fast, it's going to blow your mind. You sat for a long time, but it's not going to take me a long time to fix it. God said, I'm gonna, somebody shout, suddenly. Shout, suddenly. Shout, suddenly. Shout. God said, I'm going to bring it into alignment. Everything is going to find its place. Everything that's out of place. And Kamosha, God said, I'm going to bring it into divine. I'm going to bring it into divine. Is there anybody hearing this word? I'm going to bring it into divine alignment. And everything that wasn't supposed to be connected to you is going to move out of your way so that everything that's supposed to be connected to you is going to come into place. And God said, I'm going to do a chiropractic move. I'm going to do an alignment. And that funny feeling you've been having at night, and that indigestion you've been having at night, and that uncertainty you've been wrestling with by yourself, God said you just need an alignment. And the Bible said it wasn't that the bones came together, it was that the bones came together, bone to his bone. I don't want to be connected to something that ain't mine. I only want what God has for me. I don't want your house. I don't want your anointing. I don't want your ministry. I don't want your wife. I don't want your gift. I don't want your friend. Because they won't fit me. I want my bone. Bone to his bone. Bone to his bone creates joints. And the Bible says in Ephesians that the body of Christ is edified by that which every joint supplieth. God, that means that your next blessing is coming through your connections. Wait. Let me give you just a little bit more, just a little bit. That's just a little bit. That means that you have gone as far as you can go by yourself, that your next release of glory is going to come through the connections that God brings in your life. God is going to set you up in alignment with people. If you have to struggle for it, it's not yours. If you have to fight and cuss, it ain't yours. God said, I'm going to bring you into divine alignment, and every need in your life is going to be met through the connections that I bring to you. You ain't gonna have to go to it. You ain't gonna have to change your hair. You're not gonna have to put on somebody else's eyes. You ain't gonna have to put on somebody else's clothes. Because if you gotta change, it ain't your bone. You need your bone. The bone that appreciates what God. It's in my joints. It's in my joints. My strength is in my joints. My strength is in what I'm connected to. My strength is in who God makes like me. My strength is in who God gives me favor with. My breakthrough is in my joints. Hallelujah. I don't need everybody, but if two or three come together, agreeing and touching on any one thing, it shall be done. Look at your neighbor and say, I'm getting ready to make contact. I'm getting ready to come into alignment. I'm getting ready for the hookup. I'm getting ready to go to the next dimension. God's going to raise around me people who get me. I'm getting ready to come into divine alignment. Who am I preaching to? Who am I preaching to? Who am I? Watch this, and I'm going to pray. All of you who have been afraid of everybody, you can't get there by yourself. You have gone as far as you can go on your own. You need divine alignment. You need divine alignment. You've always been a loner, hurt into submission, hurt into isolation. Is how you cope, is to hide. But you're going to be edified. Edified is an architectural term. It means you're going to be built up. You're going to be renovated by that which every joint supplieth. And this independent spirit you got is slowing down your progress, because I built you to be a body, and a body is not independent, it's interdependent. And so I'm going to bless you through your connections. That's why you're going to have to learn how to be nice to people. That's why you can't be anointed and nasty. That's why you can't be gifted and have an attitude. That's why you can't be gifted and stay isolated, because you don't know which joint is going to be the joint that I use to supply the next move of God in your life. I don't promise you that it's going to be your friends. I got to quit. I feel it. This is an extremely prophetic utterance. You have been vulnerable. You have been sitting in a dry place. The prophet said they were dry and very dry. And still I said, I've been faithful and dry. I've been faithful and empty. I've been faithful and lonely. I've been faithful and impotent. I've been faithful and paralyzed. I've been faithful in a dry place. And it was very dry. Very dry. It was hard for me to live in it. It was very dry. And still I sat. Heartbroken. Still I sat. Isolated. Still I sat. Unappreciated. Still I sat. Unrecognized. Still I sat. Empty. Still I sat. God said, the reason I don't need your feelings is because your feelings are a result of your experiences. And what I'm about to do for you, you have had no experience with. You have only had experiences with pain. And you know how to manage pain. You're so good at managing pain that when happiness comes around, you push it away because you are scared to trust it, because you don't believe it's going to stay. And so you self-sabotage it because it messes with your mind, because you are accustomed to sitting in it. You're like a frog set in water. You don't notice that it's heating up. You have become so comfortable in it that you don't realize that the temperature is cooking you. And God said, you have no point of reference. We're free. All you know how to do is hurt. And the Holy Ghost said, I'm going to do a divine alignment. And the only thing I ask for you, you ain't got to pick bones. You don't have to move bones. You don't have to sort bones out. God said, I don't need your feelings. I need your obedience. If you obey me, I'll give you the life you couldn't pull together to save your life. I'm going to do it. And I'm going to tell you how I'm going to do it. I am going to do it suddenly. Now! Suddenly! Now! Suddenly! Suddenly! Somebody shout suddenly! Somebody shout suddenly! Somebody shout suddenly! I'm going to do it suddenly. 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 When you obey me, I'm going to do it suddenly. I call a spirit of obedience into this house. Hallelujah. Not another excuse. Not another telling God how you feel about it. God wants you to do what he said do regardless to how you feel about it. You have made an idol out of your emotions. And by the way, ain't nothing wrong with your need. You don't hear me? You can't trust your pain to direct you to the place. Your pain is deceiving you. It ain't coming from there. I know where it's coming from. And I'm going to bring the right bones together in your life. And I'm going to bring you into divine. I gotta quit. I'm gonna bring you. I gotta fit. I feel a prophetic unction on there. This ain't the place for me to go where I'm feeling. Ow! I'm gonna bring you into divine alignment. I know you're a preacher. I know you're gifted. I know you're anointed. I know I called you. I know I carried you. I know my hand is on you. But you've been sitting in it. And God said, listen. And God said, 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 you ain't got nobody to talk to, you ain't got nobody to tell, you ain't got nobody to fully open up about what's really going on, but God said he is going to give you a suddenly. And when God gives you a suddenly, you're going to come into divine alignment, and everything you have always been missing. Your little boy has been missing. Your child has been missing. Yourself has been missing. You have ministered to other people wishing you were getting what you were giving. But God said, suddenly. For the next 30 seconds, I want everything that got a mouth to give God a crazy praise. I don't care if you're at the house. I don't care if you're in the overflow. I don't care if you're in the balcony. I can't hear you. Church as usual. Press on in. I didn't come all the way up here to have church as usual. God said press on in. If you are not comfortable with joining hands, that's okay. Touch shoulders, touch arms, put your hand in their back. I prophesy connections. I prophesy connections. That which is scattered is coming together. As soon as you obey, God's going to bring it into alignment. It's not your fault what's wrong. It was wrong when you got there. It's not your fault. You didn't do it to the dry bones, but you're going to fix it. God's going to give you connections. And your latter days shall be greater than your former days, saith the Lord of hosts. And whoever I'm preaching to, you had to be here tonight. There were all kinds of stuff trying to stop you, but you had to be here tonight because this is a prophetic word, and your Holy Ghost knew that God was going to speak to you in a definite way. Squeeze them, press in, push in, touch them. God said, I'm going to give you connections. I'm going to give you new connections. I'm going to bring you into alignment. I'm going to bring you into divine alignment in your life. If you're watching online, it's a gift. If you're in the overflow, it's a gift. If you're sitting in the balcony, it's a gift. It don't matter where you sit. It matters what's about to come to you. It's about to come into alignment. It's about to come into alignment. It's about to come into alignment. I'm not asking you to feel it. I'm asking you to obey it. I want you to praise him like it's coming together in your life without hesitation, without reservation. Give our God the praise right now. Lord, sweep over this auditorium. I'm not finished. I'm just going to pick up in the morning and go deeper and more specific about the point of contact. The point of contact. The point of contact. They're going to surprise you. It ain't gonna be who you thought. It ain't gonna be who you thought. It's not gonna be who you thought. It's not gonna be how you thought. You got some bones you ain't met yet. You got some help you ain't connected with yet. That's why you keep sensing that it's out there, but you can't see it. You sense it, but you can't see it. You know it's out there. It's been nagging at you because you know it's out there, but you can't find it. You're right. It's out there. You haven't met it, but it's coming into alignment for you. Don't move. Sit in it. Sit till you see it come together. How? If I'm preaching to you, if I'm prophesying to you, if I'm speaking to your business, speaking to your mind, speaking to your emotions, speaking to your mental health, speaking to your family, speaking to your innermost being, and you know I don't really know you like that. That's why God brought me here, because I couldn't have heard nothing about you. I don't know you. I don't know you. That's why God shipped in Ezekiel. So you wouldn't have to wonder about my agenda. I got nothing to gain. I need nothing from you. Nothing. I don't have to be here. I came to deliver this word. So I prophesied as I was commanded. And God said, I'm going to bring divine alignment. If you could see what I see, you would scream. The movement that's about to come on this people is absolutely staggering. After sitting in 3 years of all hell breaking loose, some of you have been sitting in it for 10 years. You've been sitting in it so long, it's been your gymnasium. You worked out in pain. You've gotten good at being hard. God said if you obey him, he's going to give you a suddenly. It's going to blow your mind. Divine alignment. Forget me, I'm not important. Forget me, I'm dust. I'll be gone in a minute. Don't you ever forget this word. This word. Yeah! This word is divine alignment. I don't need the whole text. Bone to his bone. The Lord said, like a magnet to metal, I'm going to cause the law of attraction a magnet don't pull wood. If you pull out your magnet and it don't move, it ain't yours. When you throw out your magnet, everything metal is going to connect to you. Script writers are going to run into producers. Producers are going to run into actors. Y'all don't hear what I'm saying to you. God is going to send supply chains, distribution, open up doors, make arrangements. There are people in here that have the gift of friendship, but you've been spending it on people you can't trust. And God's going to bring you, God's anointed you to be somebody's friend. And God's going to cause him to come to you like metal to magnets. And all of a sudden you're going to come into divine alignment. Stop changing your personality to adjust to people that's leaving. How? If I'm speaking to you, I can't hardly shut up. If you can, come in the morning. We're going to take a shot at this again. I got some more to give you. Divine alignment is coming in your life, in your heart, in your finances, in your walk with God, in your friendships, with your vision. You got a piece of it. Somebody else got a piece. It's going to connect. If I'm talking to you, lift your hands up in there. I'm going to pray a quick prayer, and I'll be out of your way in just a minute. Father God, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know why you had me come preach this Sunday school text to this intellectual crowd. But I know that I sense there's life in it. There is some kind of glory. It feels like energy, but it's glory. In between the metal and the magnet, the electrons are going to pull together without sweat, bone to his bone. I pray for the pain that shows up in areas that are not really the problem. I pray for the people who have been misdiagnosed. I pray for the people who have been treating the wrong thing. The pain in your knee is coming from your hip. It's not your marriage, it's your childhood. It's not your wife, it's about your daddy. It's not about your husband, it's about your mama. And you have been taking out on who stayed the agony about who left. God is going to do an alignment. Father God, every raised hand anywhere in the world that's hearing this word, let the transformation start tonight. Tonight, 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 tonight. Let marriages be healed. Let mothers and daughters be healed. Let fathers and sons be healed. Let home lives be healed. Let areas that have been misdiagnosed, victimized, angry, frustrated, mood swings be healed tonight in the name of Jesus. I thank you that we will never be the same again because we have divine alignments. Give him the best praise you got. Come on. Come on. Come on. Listen, I want to pray with you over your vision. I want to pray with you over your connections, because I've seen God send the right connection and people run them away. I pray that your fear doesn't run off your connection. Anybody need that kind of prayer? Listen at me. I want to bless this house, and I need you to help me. And I'm not going to take long, and I'm not going to play tricks, and I'm not going to play games. I need you to sow into what just happened in this place. I believe that something divine happened in this place. I'm not going to push it. I'm not going to pull it. I just believe that God did something divine in this place. Listen, you pick the group. I want 300 people to sow a $1,000 seed and 1,000 people to sow 300. I don't know which category you're in, but I want 1,000 people to sow 300. And 300 people to sow 1,000. I want people who recognize the blowing of the wind in this room. Whether you are online or in an overflow, it has nothing to do with where you sit. It has everything to do with what you heard. And I want a spirit of obedience to come over this house. You might not fit in either category, then give what you can. But I am specifically after 1,000 people to give 300 and 300 people to give 1,000. I'm not talking about 300 you got to fight with. I'm not talking about 300 you have to tell their mama's name. I'm talking about 300 people who recognize the weight of what God is doing in your life in this season, in the volatility of this moment. You have heard from God. Now listen, you're going to have to move quick. If you are one of those 300 people, I want you to come stand up front, and I want you to come fast. I want you to come without hesitation. I want you to come without reservation. I want you to come in a spirit of obedience, because the Holy Spirit has pointed you out to seize this moment. I know if you're online, you can't come. But if you're in this building, I want you to come. If you're in the overflow, I want you to go to the front of the overflow. The Holy Spirit spoke to me. I'm going to be one of the 300 people that give 1,000. Come to the front right now. Come to the front right now. Step over doubt, step over fear, step over excuses. And if you don't have it, don't get no attitude. He ain't talking to you. He ain't talking to you. He's not talking to you. He's not talking to you. 300 people who value what the Lord spoke, and you are able to flow with me on this level. And I'm going to be the first one to give it. You can text it. I still want you to come. Bring your phone. If the Lord has touched you and you're one of the 1,000 people that's going to give 300, stand where you're at. Just stand where you're at. Just stand where you're at. Stand where you're at. In the balcony, in the overflow, online, I just want to recognize I'm obeying. I'm taking action. I'm not going to just be a hearer of the word. I'm going to be a doer of the word. Quickly, 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 quickly. If you're trying to wait me out, you're going to win. Yeah, because I have no need to arm wrestle. Not after God has spoken like he's spoken today. It's a privilege to sow into something real. There's so much phony. That's why I don't fool around much. It's so much. It make me sick. Make me sick. I'm allergic to it. Yeah, I don't need it. I came up when people was coming out of wheelchairs. I saw the glory. See, that's what's wrong with me. I saw the glory. I saw them come out of crutches. I saw them dance on walkers. I know what God can do. Quickly. Everybody else that wants to give, that wants to give, I don't want nobody to give that's got an attitude. I don't want nobody that's mad to give. I don't want anybody that's evil, frustrated to give. I want people who want to give to God. Stand. I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's $50. I don't care if it's $5. I don't care if it's a coupon for Campbell's soup. I care about your attitude. And let's lift it up. I know some of you text to give. Lift your phone up. It's okay. God knows technology. When you lift it up, you're saying, I'm represented in this alignment. On my level, in my way, I am represented in this alignment. I cannot see you in the overflow, but I guarantee you God can. I am represented in this alignment. And I am willing to stop acting out of my feelings and move into my obedience. I thought I was being real when I was acting out of my emotions. But your emotions ain't real. Your obedience is real. Abraham acted out of his obedience and he got his son back. Daniel acted out of his obedience and the lion couldn't eat him. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego acted out their obedience and the fire couldn't burn them. Let me tell you something. If you start just obeying what God said do, he's going to bring you to alignment. At midnight, Paul and Silas obeyed and they got a suddenly. The woman with the issue of blood acted out of obedience and she got healed. Jesus wasn't even aware, but she sensed in her spirit, if I may but touch the hem of his garment, God honored obedience. Father God, as we lift up our seeds tonight all over the world, I don't know what time zone they're in. I don't know what situation they're in. I don't care what they got on. Somebody's in their pajamas. I don't care what they're dressed like. Wherever you find obedience, honor your word tonight. If it's in the overflow, honor your word. If it's in the hallway, honor your word tonight. If it's in the pulpit, honor your word today. No big eyes, no little U's, whatever level we are able to sow on, it is still our best. We offer it up to you. We say yes to your will and to your way. Now bless it for your glory in Jesus' name. Now listen at me real carefully. If you came up front, I want you to drop it down on the altar here. If you are in the aisles, I want you to pass it to your left. I want you to pass it all the way to your left. The person on the left is holding everybody's seat. If you gave on your phone, don't pass your phone now, because somebody will say Merry Christmas. And then I want the ushers to go down the aisle and catch everybody on the left. Please don't walk out. You'll just make it confusing, and you're just going to sit in your car. You're going to go from sitting in the church in your car so you can go home and sit at house. Give us 5 minutes. The people have been here a long time. Person on the left standing with everybody's seat. Please don't go. Please don't go. Please obey. Let's at least start the year off obeying. It ain't even March yet.